obviously not every case is a slam dunk case at our firm, right?
Yeah.
When looking at the risks involved in some of the cases that, let's say, you decide to take to trial, what are some of the things that you look at?
We talked about this recently, and I really believe this is something that I really stand still on. If I'm going to take this case to trial and invest our firm resources into this case, even though it's my money, it's everyone. This is everyone's livelihoods. This is the business. I'm risking I'm risking it all for the whole team. That's how I think about it when I go to trial. Am I willing to risk our firm's resources, my team's resources, for this client? And the one thing I ask myself is this person likable? I don't have to be best friends with you, but I have to like you to an extent and believe in your case. If I don't think you're a likable person, you're not a good person, and I just don't believe in this case, I'm not going to risk everything for it. Because when you take a case to trial, you're putting your reputation on the line for this guy, or women. You're risking your firm's resources, and if there's a loss, then that's not just a loss for you; it's a loss for the team. So I really want to know, is this person, do I believe in him, and is he worth dying? What I like to say, is he worth dying on the hill for?
Right.
That's what I look at. So if I don't feel like if I don't like this guy, I don't believe in him, I don't think he's going to be a good witness, I'll really think twice about whether I want to risk it all for this person. So we did discuss that, and I know you were we were talking about a case recently,
right?
And there were some complicated issues with it, and I said, do I want to meet this guy? Bring him in. Let's right. talk about him, because even though sometimes a case is going to be tough, you're not going to get slam dunk cases all the time. You got to take a risk and try cases that are tough. But when it comes down to it, bring him in, because I want to see what kind of person this person is. I think that's important.
Yeah, and I mean, something I've learned from at least some of the trials that I've done is that basically your case falls on your client's credibility, your witness's credibility. So I think it's super important that you like the person that you're representing, because if you don't like them, chances are 12 jurors may not like them.
Exactly. And I like people, and I have a very, not say I have a low standard for people, but I've been one of those guys my whole life where I made friends with people that just other people didn't like. So if I don't like you, there's a very good chance that a jury's not going to like you, because I like, my friends used to joke to me when I was younger, man, you befriend a murder on accident. I'm like, yeah, maybe, but if I don't like you, man, a jury, it's going to be hard for a jury to like you. I really believe that. Yeah, so I know we were talking about focus groups too, and the focus group is a good tool to use on these tough liability risky cases, because whatever you're concerned about and you're thinking about this case, something that bugs you about it, you want to get it in front of a community of potential jurors and let them talk about it, because you'd be surprised. The things that you are worried about, they're not worried about at all.
Right.
But the things that I wasn't thinking about, they're thinking about. So tough liability cases, you got a focus group. Like you just, I think it's malpractice not to focus group a tough case, and from my experience.
Yeah, I mean, from my experience, we didn't really do many focus groups, and I think had we done focus groups, there would have been some stuff that we would have learned and could have helped us out in the long term. But I know we talked a little bit about credibility and liking your client. How do you feel about having witnesses in play and finding the right witnesses?
Yeah, I think one thing I told you, I like David Ball's books on trials and damages, and I think from the last trial we did, I think what I learned from talking to the jurors is like the lay witnesses, do not underestimate lay witnesses and having them testify about your client's injuries. If your client is sitting there complaining about how his life's been screwed up forever and he can't, and that could be true, he could be a very sad story. It's always better to have other people testify about how the client was before the incident and how they were after. It's better to have other people complain or talk about, not complain, but talk about your injuries. Right. If you sit there and talk about how screwed up your life is and how depressed you are, I don't think it comes off as good as having other people talk about it. And it's more credibility because other people that are not incentivized to win are talking about, yeah, you know, I knew this person before and they used to love playing baseball with their son. After the incident, he has to sit on the sidelines in his wheelchair, and he used to coach him, be a first base coach on his son's little league team. He can't do that anymore. Or you know, now he has to roll his wheelchair out there instead. Those are powerful stories as opposed to letting your client just sit there and talk about how bad he is. So the lay witnesses, you got to stack them up for damages, in my opinion. That's what I've learned in some of the cases we've done.
Yeah, no, I couldn't agree with you more. I think that's why when I'm doing discovery, or let's say I'm responding to discovery, one of the first things I always try and gather from our clients are like, okay, well, who are some coworkers that could talk about that?
Yeah.
Who are some family or friends that could talk about that issue? Because I agree, no one wants to hear a client go up there and talk for hours. Yeah. Now, one of the things I've learned from, you know, being and doing trials and from other attorneys is that you don't want to have your client sitting up there for 2 hours. And you want your client to kind of go in and out and bring on the rest of the collaterals to really tell their story. And I don't know if it seems like for you, you've also had that experience.
Yeah, I think too. And also, you can have good witnesses that talk about you can have witnesses talk about your client's injuries, but not all witnesses are good.
Right.
We had, you know, we'll keep it vague, but one of our trials we did, we had the husband talk about her injury. She had a shoulder surgery, and we wanted him to testify about the gardening she couldn't do anymore and how she needed help showering. He just got super nervous and he clammed up, and it just fell flat. And thankfully we had another witness, the sister of the plaintiff, that was a very, very eloquent, just really kind, just very presentable witness. And the juries, they liked her. I don't think without her, I don't think we would have won that case. It wasn't like the other person his credibility wasn't, he's nothing, he was credible. He wasn't projecting, he just didn't have any impact. But that the sister brought it home. And even the defense told us, like, you know, she was a very good witness. So it's something in the experience will teach you that. It's, you know, you got to experience what a good witness is. You know, you don't know what a good witness is until you've seen bad witnesses. So,
yeah, you'll definitely.
And bad witnesses doesn't mean that they're not credible. They're not good people. They don't got the best personality.
Right.
It is what it is.
All right.